Hi y'all, it's me, Miss Rowe, and here's Pebble. Today we are going to be outlining our essay response for the PARCC Practice Test 1. So you want to make sure you've done a couple things before we get started. First, you need to make sure that you have carefully reviewed the first two texts. You can check out Miss Rowe's Lesson 1 video if you would like a read aloud of those texts. And second, you need to make sure you've tapped out your prompt. So if you haven't tapped your prompt out yet, I'm going to send you over to Miss Johnston's Lesson 3, and she can help you get it set up for success with this video. Once you've done those two things, you can hop back over. We're going to be outlining a 1-paragraph essay. If you want to write a 2-paragraph essay, that's great. Look at Miss Johnston's video 4. Okay, so you can see we are starting with our prompt. Identify a theme in Just Like Home and a theme in Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Write an essay that explains how the theme of the story is shown through the characters and how the theme of the poem is shown through the speaker. Include specific details from the story and the poem to support your essay. So Ms. Johnston has tapped out our prompt for us. So first we have our topic. We are writing about theme and how the theme is shown in both texts. Reminder that theme is the author's central message, or what the author wants us to remember long after we've read the story. Our audience. We are writing to non-experts. So these are people who may or may not have read these two texts and who may or may not have a strong understanding of what theme means. Since we are the experts on this text, we need to make sure that we are informing non-experts by being very specific and organized with our language. Finally, we are writing to inform. That is our purpose for our writing. Focusing in on this purpose to inform, I have a question for you, 4th graders. Which outline do we use when we inform? Our quick outline or our story arc? If you said quick outline, great job. Yes, when we inform, we use a quick outline, not a story arc. So right now, make sure on a piece of scratch paper you have set up a quick outline. That means you have a TS, space for 4 details, and a CS. Reminder, if you are interested in writing a 2-paragraph response, now is the time to head over to Miss Johnston's Lesson 4. I need to make sure of a few things with this outline. First, I know that my TS needs to address our topic, how theme is shown in both texts. Second, I know I need to include information from each text, both from Just Like Home and from Life Doesn't Frighten Me. So, since we have 2 texts and space for 4 details, our first 2 details can address Just Like Home, and our second 2 can address Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Finally, I know my CS, or my conclusion sentence, must also address the topic of how theme is shown in both texts. So these notes will help me stay on track as I outline. As a reminder, they're right here on the side for you. Okay, let's get started with developing a TS. Our TS is introducing our reader to our topic, and it needs to be interesting so that the audience wants to keep reading. So when I'm thinking about an interesting way to start a sentence, one interesting way is to use a subordinating conjunction. So I'm going to use the subordinating clause when, and start when the character of the story and the speaker of the poem communicated the theme. This is the first half of my sentence. Remember, I'm looking at my topic, how theme is shown in both texts. Does this address my topic? Yes, it does, because I'm talking about the story, the poem, and how they're both showing the theme. To finish this sentence, I need to think about what a theme does. A theme communicates a lesson that the author wants us to know, so I can finish this sentence. The audience learned an important lesson. This makes our full TS. When the character of the story and the speaker of the poem communicated the theme, the audience learned an important lesson. Remember, your topic sentence doesn't have to be the same as mine. But be sure you are addressing the topic of the prompt to set yourself up for success. Okay, let's move on to our first two details that are addressing the text just like home. I know that I need to do two things. I need to state the theme and show evidence for how the story shows the theme. So I added these two cues here. For detail 1, I'm stating the theme, and detail 2, I'm providing evidence. Let's remember back to our story just like home. What message does the author want us to remember? I remember that Priya felt lonely until she shared an aspect of her Indian culture, which helped her connect to her classmates and form friendships. So, I can determine that the theme of the story is sharing culture can lead to friendship. Notice, this is not a complete sentence, and that's okay because we're writing a detail, but when we go back and we write our full essay, we need to convert these notes into a strong, complete, and interesting sentence. Now, what evidence did I use to support the claim that the theme of this story is sharing culture can lead to friendship? The evidence I used is that Priya's Rangoli art led to Enrique and Farah sharing art of their own cultures, which led to their friendship. Notice how I wrote out notes for this evidence in my outline. I use a couple of symbols to communicate these ideas. First, I have arrows, which indicate leads to, and I have a plus sign, which indicates adding. So the reason I'm using these symbols is so that I'm using my time very wisely in writing my details. Okay, we are ready to move on to details 3 and 4 from the text Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Once again, I know I need to do two things. I need to state the text's theme, and then I need to give evidence for that theme. So I'm adding my cues again, theme and evidence. Let's think back to our poem, Life Doesn't Frighten Me. What was the message that the author wanted us to remember? I remember from this poem that despite obstacles, the speaker is unafraid of life's challenges. So, I can state that the theme is that the speaker wants the reader to be brave and show confidence. Notice I use the plus sign again between be brave and have confidence. It's not a complete sentence right now. That's okay. I know that when I go back and I edit my work, I need to convert those notes into a strong, interesting, and complete sentence. Now let's talk about the evidence. The most powerful line of the poem that I identified is that strangers in the dark do not frighten our speaker. So I pulled that line. Another one may have resonated with you. That's okay. Whatever works best. So, notice I wrote strangers in the dark, ... That's an indicator to me that I'm going to go back to my poem to complete that full quotation. I have a slash to indicate a new idea. And then I added another line from the poem that was powerful for me. Life doesn't frighten me. ... so that I know to go back to my poem to complete that quotation. Now we are ready to focus on our CS, which will conclude our essay and pull it all together. Remember, our CS, or our concluding sentence, also has to address our topic. Our topic is how the theme is shown in both texts. So I'm going to start my CS with the following phrase. Even though the theme of the story is different from the theme of the poem, now I'm thinking, how can I finish this thought to bring my essay together? Both texts taught a valuable lesson. Does this address my topic, how theme is shown in both texts? Yes, it does, because it's talking about how the two themes are different in both texts, and that both texts taught a valuable lesson, which we know is what a good theme does. And there we go. Now we have our completed outline. You can screenshot this page, leave it up on your computer to take some notes so that your outline is ready for you to write. Remember, when we are writing our final essay, it is very important that we are converting our 4 details into complete sentences. That means you are taking the ideas that are in your details and you are changing them into sentences that are just as strong as your TS and your CS. Remember your transition words. Remember all of the strategies that you have to write complete sentences, and try your best. Please send me, Miss Johnston and Mr. Freeman, pictures of your final essay. I am so excited to read them, and you are welcome to reach out to me by text, call, or email if you need any support. Thank you so much, fourth graders. Happy writing!